Hi, my name's Kayla Bradley, and today I wanted to talk about social media and how it promotes skepticism and the impact this can have on scientific communication. I will first provide an introduction explaining why social media promotes skepticism and how this can be used to benefit society. I will then give some background on the Flat Earth Society, the primary case study for the rest of this presentation. Then I'll talk about the larger implications for this issue, as well as how to aid the problem. To begin, I wanted to go over how the very concept of social media inevitably promotes skepticism. The information age, which has defined the last several decades of communication technology, brought with it three main advancements that social media platforms utilize. First, information has gradually become more accessible, not only to corporations and agencies, but even to just regular people. Advanced search and recommendation algorithms available on platforms like Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and more allow its users to find information, even when the user isn't necessarily searching for it. Within seconds, users change from looking at adorable kitten videos to commentary on police brutality in the United States. Receiving information about controversial or current events is almost inevitable on social media today. Moreover, the exponential decrease in cost for digital storage has allowed many social media platforms to grant their users essentially limitless storage on their account free of charge. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly in the context of social media, the ability to share content either through private messaging or post to large audiences allows even strangers to collaborate and exchange resources. Through these advancements, average people have been able to question and criticize institutions of power whilst drawing others to their causes. Many examples of this online skepticism have been productive, achieving at least some level of legislation or action to follow. Perhaps the most recent and pertinent example was the Black Lives Matter protest against police brutality occurring across the United States and even across the world. Initial protesters already knew the violence was occurring and believed that the justice system needed reform. However, to achieve the size and scale that the protesters did, these protesters had to use social media to make others doubt these systems to gain their support. Internationally, there's the case of Mohamed Bouazizi, who inspired a Facebook protest against the Tunisian government, military, and police after he fatally set himself on fire in protest of their harassment. After Bouazizi died, the current president of Tunisia fled, marking the beginning of democratic change in the country. By causing others to be skeptical of power, these protesters use social media to make real, meaningful change. There's nothing wrong with skepticism. In fact, it's a healthy practice to evaluate the credibility of information, even that which has been assumed to be true for decades. However, the line between skepticism and conspiracy is thin and becomes only thinner on social media. When presented with new information, people tend to assume it's true unless given some reason to doubt its credibility. This idea, also known as the truth default theory, allows misinformation to thrive on social media. For example, a study found that social media users are likely to believe misinformation if it aligns with their beliefs and attitudes, even when marked as fake news. When misinformation spreads, conspiracy theories and false information thrives, even when no legitimate evidence has been presented. This brings us to our main case study for this presentation, and perhaps the most classic example of a conspiracy theory dominating social media, the Flat Earth Society. As the name suggests, this group is skeptical of the fact that the Earth is round, believing scientists to be lying about the shape of the Earth due to an ulterior motive to control information. The society has existed since 2004 and seemingly hasn't updated the interface of their website since then. However, the forums remain active, with participants trying to gain further evidence against those they call globalists. The website contains podcasts, articles, books, and more meant to expose the truth science is supposedly hiding. However, no legitimate evidence to suggest Earth is flat has ever been presented, and the painstaking peer review process in science would make such a conspiracy impossible to keep secret. Overall, the suspicions raised by the Flat Earth Society are guided from scientific fiction and misinformation. The Flat Earth Society publishes a lot of its own media to promote their skepticism and spread their beliefs. For example, in 2016, the group published a podcast where supposed experts would offer arguments for a flat Earth. However, perhaps most successful has been the group's social media campaigns. For example, to the left, you can see a Facebook post from the Society arguing against a Life Science article that disproves the flat Earth theory. The Post calls the article a cobbled together mess of straw man arguments and offers various counterpoints, using scientific and official language to gain credibility with their audience. Moreover, the Society will pull quotes from celebrities, no matter the context, to further provide evidence for support of their claims. Their media aims to persuade, but also to overwhelm, so that viewers are more likely to default to truth. Twitter has been the longest lasting and perhaps best preserved social media platform for Flat Earth content, both from the Flat Earth Society and its followers. Although their account has been banned several times, their newest account, @FlatEarth.org, has over 97,000 followers. They identify themselves as truth seekers, a claim studies have identified as a misleading and manipulative title that has aggravated government and institutional distrust. Moreover, they share and post content mocking non-flat earthers, using humiliation as a tactic to make people feel as though their own beliefs are ridiculous. Lastly, their account is verified and has been for several years now. With Elon Musk's new policy allowing users to purchase verification, though, many predict verified users sharing flat earth content to become much more common. On YouTube today, flat earth content might not seem to be a major issue. A search for flat earth on the platform mostly yields videos debunking the theory. In fact, it was actually quite difficult to find the examples I show on this slide. However, YouTube was the primary platform for this content during its prime around 2018. The theory thrived on YouTube, a platform with unique opportunities. Being the most popular social media among all age groups, the Flat Earth Society and its followers amassed major followings. Additionally, content on YouTube tends to be longer, giving these individuals more time to manipulate and confuse. These videos generated a lot of attention, causing YouTube's algorithm to recommend them to more users to keep users hooked. Research has found that most flat earthers actually fall into the belief by initially watching a YouTube video on the flat earth theory, not believing it, and watching more to try to disprove the theory. Through this process, they consume more and more of these documentaries. Moreover, flat earth videos were also twice as long on average and far outnumbered debunking videos on average, making them seem incredibly persuasive and popular to the average YouTube viewer. While some videos are organized documentaries, others, like the one shown on the right, are less high production, giving viewers more of a personal, connected feel. Despite their endless push of content, the Flat Earth Society's following is relatively small. The dominant discourse on the internet believes in a round Earth and tends to treat the flat Earth belief almost like a joke. However, such behavior has actually created two distinct echo chambers, one teasing and debunking a flat Earth and one promoting its reality. This further aggravates the divide between the two sides as algorithms continue to push users content that they want to see. Some research has found that the language used by people debunking flat earthers actually makes them more confident in their beliefs. However, content debunking flat earthers is more popular on average, suggesting the minority status of the flat earth belief. Overall, research has found that flat earth content, as well as other conspiracy theory content, promotes distrust in governments and other institutions. This is quite obvious through their posts claiming to be seeing past government deception. Although doubt in an institution can be used for progressive change, as I've discussed, baseless doubt often leads to energy, time, and attention being wasted on useless or harmful questions, such as whether the Earth is flat or whether or not we have to act on climate change. In a globalized world with so many issues to worry about, this energy is incredibly valuable. So when talking about flat earthers, the topic may sound somewhat silly to put so much attention towards. After all, is it really harmful that someone believes that the world is flat instead of round? And shouldn't the questioning of science facts be encouraged? These answers become more complicated when you look at other scientific concepts being challenged without reputable evidence on social media. For example, many social media users began seeing and sharing misinformation about the COVID-19 pandemic and its vaccine as early as the pandemic began. Conspiracies about chemtrails, Joe Biden, 5G towers, microchips, and even that the virus never existed at all filled feeds. For example, research has found that social media posts spreading misinformation during the pandemic led to a decrease in vaccination rates, especially when the information was disguised as scientific. It is unclear how many lives could have been saved without this misinformation and unsupported speculation having gone so viral. Challenging sound science with no legitimate evidence of one's claim can be seriously deadly. As an environmental science major, the way online skepticism has hurt the fight for climate justice is particularly troubling for me. Scientific consensus has already determined that human-caused climate change is occurring. But similar to flat Earth content, the amount of misinformation about climate change, ranging from whether it's happening to whether it's worth attention and resources, has caused focus to go away from the issue. These claims have been particularly influential to conservatives in the United States, as well as many other countries abroad, slowing action to prevent climate change across the world. Such rhetoric has delayed further action, worsening the impact scientists predict to see in the future. Platforms have tried to address these conspiracy theories and lessen their impact in the past. For example, posts with information deemed unfactual, such as flat Earth theory, are marked or sometimes completely covered by warnings for false content, as seen in the middle picture. Some websites, even, like YouTube, will provide a blurb of information explaining why the content is false. However, as I said earlier, research has found that users are likely to ignore those warnings if they go against their beliefs. Many platforms have instead decided to ban accounts that share such information for this very reason, or at least shadow ban them so that their content will not be recommended to new users. This is exactly what YouTube has done, since technically flat Earth content does not violate its guidelines, so instead it just pushes that content to the bottom of the recommended feed. These platforms maintain that they're protecting against potentially harmful misinformation, but there's still controversy that these measures have been met with, as some have called them acts of censorship to hide the truth. So while social media's capacity for skepticism has allowed great strides forward, this power comes with an immense deal of responsibility. And while much of this responsibility is on the platforms themselves, as users, we must understand our role in preventing the spread of misinformation. First, critically evaluate the information you receive. Does it sound plausible? Reasonable? During this stage, ensure to evaluate how your attitudes and belief bias your answer. Then, evaluate the source by doing outside research. Be aware that even if the source sounds official, to do outside research to see if any experts or other trusted sources defended its reputability. Next, before you share any information or articles online, read it fully and do research to confirm its validity first. Flashy headlines often garner large sums of likes and shares, even if inaccurate or misrepresentative to the story. Take your time and be mindful when scrolling through social media to avoid truth default theory. Lastly, be mindful of your online discourse, particularly with flat earthers and other conspiracy theorists. Mocking and isolating will do little to convince others to believe in science. Be prepared to have these discussions, even though they may be difficult, so that your impact can go far beyond your personal account.